Oh, thanks. Mr.
Call to order?
Yes.
Okay,
Roll.
pledge allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call by the clerk, please.
Commissioner Dixon? Present. Commissioner Reading? Commissioner Walsh?
Here.
Commissioner Michael? Mayor Lyons?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, our first is going to be discussion. This is our first ever committee of a whole. So what we're going to do is we are going to discuss things amongst the board. We'll put into the meeting where there is public comment afterwards, but this is our opportunity to talk about some things for the future of Braidwood, because obviously because of the Open Meetings Act, we can't have meetings. So this gives us the opportunity to address stuff. So this is our first one. So this is what our agenda is going to be. Those who don't have it in front of you, we're going to talk about the grocery tax. We're going to talk about the water quotes. We're going to talk about dumping on lots and our internet upgrade. So for our first discussion, we're going to talk about the grocery tax. Brian, you're going to start off with talk about the grocery tax.
So for quite a while in the past and up until the end of the year, this year, there's been a statewide imposed 1% tax on groceries. That money is paid at the cash register, eventually paid to the state and then distributed to the municipalities where those goods were purchased and where that tax was originated from. In 2024, Pritzker did away with that 1% grocery tax at the state level, but enacted a statute that then allows for municipalities to enact an ordinance to keep that 1% tax in place. It wouldn't be a new tax, it would just be changing who is requiring that tax from the state to the municipal level. If the city does not pass this ordinance, then the 1% tax would go away. If we want it to be in place on January 1st of 2026, we would need to approve it and provide a certified copy of the ordinance to the Illinois Department of Revenue before October 1st of this year. So far, what the tax is actually taxing is more or less food and drink sold at somewhere for consumption off premises. So if you're at a restaurant, it's not the food that you're eating in that place or takeout. It's when you're at the grocery store, the gas stations, the convenience stores, and so on, buying food and drink that you would eat elsewhere. When I wrote this request for action, I think it was as of June 17th, 225 municipalities had passed a grocery tax for their respective municipalities. As of July 31st, now that number is up to 427. So increasing pretty quickly, and I'm sure it's going to increase even more as we approach that October 1st deadline. A lot of people are concerned about low-income people. Obviously, you want to be mindful of those when everything is increasing in price. As it was under the original 1% state tax, SNAP recipients are exempt under this municipal tax. So if you receive some type of federal subsidy, that tax would not apply to you. That's about it that I have for my summary. Is there any questions or discussion?
Just a couple things. So just for clarification, because I did not know that. So if you get like public aid or SNAP, they don't pay grocery tax, so it doesn't affect them. And two, as we build up on the interstate, and we like the truck stop, so we get money off the interstate. They come in, they buy their groceries. That's obviously applied to our grocery tax.
Exactly.
Well, last time I went to the grocery store, I looked at the bottom. It said a 1.75% tax. It doesn't say what it is. I just assumed it would say how often do you look at it? You pay it with your card, you see it on the screen, but I didn't see it specified. I don't know if that 1% is within that 1.75. There's a sales tax on other things. There was a 7% sales tax on a different item. It wasn't a grocery item. It was like freezer bags or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know how much money it generates for the city. I mean, I'd be kind of curious to see how much we have gotten in the past years. But,
Illinois Municipal League produced a table, but it didn't include smaller municipalities. like
Okay.
Redwood, so I didn't have access to that information.
all right.
I did see it was about 100, it's less than 200, but more than 100, so I know we're somewhere like 150, 175
Oh, that much money?
that we would lose.
And my feelings on it, it just doesn't affect Braidwood residents because we have beach clubs, golf courses, people camp in this area, they come and shop. So it's enabled that we're actually getting money from outside our city that benefits our town.
Yeah, but what if we were the only city that let it expire? I wonder if it's worth it for people from neighboring,
It's just money that the city doesn't have then.
but it doesn't get passed on to the consumer at all.
What do you mean?
The consumer pays that tax. So does it save the consumer 1% when they buy grocery items? That's what I'm wondering.
Yes, so that is a great question. My experience has been with gas tax, right? Home rule communities can levy their own fuel tax. And so the old argument is if we don't levy the fuel tax and our neighbor is, the gas station in your town is still gonna jack the price up an extra 5 cents to meet what your neighbor is, so they have more profit. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, if your neighbor has the 1% grocery tax, gas tax, grocery tax, and you don't, you never know if they're gonna increase their prices by 1%. You don't know, so the profit goes back into their pocket versus into the city coffers for infrastructure improvement. So you'll never know that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was an old, survey done years ago that where gas tax comparable cities, towns that have a gas tax, you don't go to the town A and it's 5 cents less because you don't have a gas tax. It's the same as town B. They're just earning the profit.
And I think to make your point really meaningful, I think it's really determinative of whether the surrounding communities pass it. Because I'm assuming, and this is completely assuming that, on my own experience, I'm going to the convenient place, the close place.
Mm-hmm.
If it's quite a bit cheaper, a little bit further, maybe I'll go there, but if, Diamond, Wilmington, Coal City, all pass the 1%, I don't know that anyone's going to Morris or Joliet or to, wherever.
To avoid the
big
tax.
grocery stores to avoid the
Right.
tax.
Because
So if no one around you does it, I think that point is more meaningful,
mm-hmm.
and maybe you do instate it, then maybe they do go to Wilmington Burkhart's instead of Braidwood Burkhart's, I don't know.
So Brian,
Wilmington passed theirs, I don't know anything about Diamond Coal City.
would the 0.75 still remain?
I don't know what all the
Yeah, what it
taxes
is.
are in the world.
What's that transportation tax?
It is only 1% that is shifting from the state to the municipal.
Do you know how long this has been in place, this grocery tax?
I don't,
Okay. I didn't want to,
quite a while,
My guess is ever since the state sales tax.
probably a long time. Let's have to take a look.
Any other discussions in reference to the grocery tax?
So the question before you is does the city of Braidwood want to leave the tax the way it is or eliminate it based on what the governor has asked municipalities to do? We need to have a decision by when, Brian?
We need to have it into the Illinois Department of Revenue by October 1st, so I would say the first meeting in September.
So we would have to enact this at the first council meeting. If we're gonna opt in, we would have to have the resolution passed by this council by the first meeting in September. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll get a better handle on exactly what the dollar amounts are. And make sure it's in that $150,000 range. So my recommendation to you would be, can this municipality function with the services that we provide with losing $150,000 in revenue? You think about that. And what does that affect services, if at all?
Anything to add, Liz? Do you have anything to?
No, that was my only question. I didn't know what the 0.75 was.
Yeah, and it doesn't say, it just says,
So.
there
I
were
didn't
two,
know
it says
what
it said level one, you know, it had two taxes, level one and level two tax. Because there were two different types of items that I
The only thing I
purchased.
see on the 0.75 is a transportation tax that goes to the state.
And Dale, since 1990.
Will County- the Will
Nineteen
County
ninety?
tax.
Okay, thanks.
It's a Will County, yeah, Will County transportation.
All right. Anything else?
So just a guidance, do you want to put this on the agenda for the second meeting or the second Tuesday in September?
Yeah, Dale. Do you have anything you want to add? Anything?
No, I'm good.
Would you like to just put it on the agenda? For an action item?
Is that, now, you said first meeting in September
I-
a while ago, that it would have to be
Yes,
voted on.
It's the first meeting in September, which is the second Tuesday. in
Oh, okay,
September,
all right,
yes.
sure, yeah,
Put it on the agenda for vote.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I have no idea how you feel about it, whether you're up or down with this, but I don't know, I'm a low tax guy, I've always felt, and I just feel like Illinois is taxing the heck out of people. I have high school buddies that are retiring and they're moving. So Illinois is losing. They've lost seats in Congress because of population. So it's one of the reasons why people are leaving Illinois. And I always thought if I had anything to do with a vote, I would vote against it. It's not much, but you know.
I got to be honest with you, and this is just with my thought. If by chance, is it just the word tax, or are we wanting to give some sort of a break to the citizens of Braidwood? Because if we're looking out for our citizens, I think the grocery tax should remain the same, because we have people coming from our town because of the beach clubs, the golf courses, and we have fishing spots. If we want to give our citizens a break, why wouldn't we revisit the water billing? Because there's an automatic increase every year. There's an ordinance, a 4% increase. Why don't we take a look at that and maybe next year either suspend it or do 2% there? At least we're taking care of our citizens that way. If that's something that's,
Oh yeah, I'd be for looking at that too. Because 1%.
because anytime
it's
you
not
can get
very
money,
much.
anytime you get money off the interstate that people don't live here, that benefits our town. I think that if we want to save our citizens money, I think we're better off looking at it that way. Through suspend the increase.
And that's why that was a question. Does the consumer have a 1% less hit on their bill, when they buy groceries? I don't know.
And where does your residents shop at? Do they shop mostly here in town? Or do they go to Joliet or some other area to do their major shopping? So where's that customer coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And as the mayor talked about, there's probably a lot of customers that aren't residents that are paying that tax to the city that are not residents. Whereas, you talk about the water rate percentage discount, that is truly a pure resident benefit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a benefit to somebody from Chicago driving down the interstate, stopping by to pick up a Diet Coke. So the 2% is truly a resident discount.
Mm-hmm.
So if Coal City and Diamond enact it, they get their 1%, a lot of people shop at Jewel. So they're gonna get the money. Where if we don't enact it, we're not gonna get the money from off the highway.
Yeah.
Because our people go Walmart, Aldi's, and Jewel.
This is a question for Brian, and just throwing this out there. Is there a way to enact this ordinance and have a supplemental ordinance saying that in 2026, the council will charge X for water rates, do them in tandem?
We could do
Two separate ordinances.
Absolutely.
And then, so you can do an ordinance saying beginning in budget year, I believe it's probably the budget year, right? So budget
Yeah,
year
26.
of May 1, 26, your rates will be X, 2%, 1%, 0 increase. In return, we're going to keep the grocery tax because the resident water rate discount is a true discount to the residents.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So,
So we'll prepare, and if it's okay with the council, we'll prepare those two ordinances. One for a discount, and I'll share via email with that, whatever discount, we'll come up with. And we'll put the grocery tax on for a vote.
okay. Are we done with this discussion? Item number 1.
Any other questions on it?
All right, discussion number 2 is 120 water quotes for the lead survey required by IEPA. And Rob, just
Liz is gonna do the presentation.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm here to speak for Rob. Yes,
I'm Liz.
I'm also Liz. Yeah. So when he mentioned if Liz had any questions earlier, I was like, oh, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for having me here. Very quickly, was going to give a high-level overview of the regulation. It is a state regulation that is also a federal, coming from the federal EPA. So I do want to reassure any residents here, this is not something because Braidwood had an issue with their water, but rather federal regulation that every single water system across the country has to comply with. Illinois does have some more stringent requirements as a state themselves. So this is the largest overhaul to our water systems that we've seen since the initial lead and copper rule was enacted about 30 years ago. What we see from that is a much larger burden on folks like Rob who are responsible for getting into compliance, and a much greater risk of receiving a violation, which can result in either additional communication with residents, which obviously costs money, or just true fines for violations for not completing this properly. So what I have prepared in these folders here today, on the left-hand side, you'll see 3 different quotes that Rob and I have discussed and worked through. The first one involves 120 Water taking care of the service line inventory updates as well as the customer notification requirements. Those need to be sent out annually every year to any residents with lead, galvanized requiring replacement, or unknown service lines. And also the lead and copper sampling. So when you sample and actually test the water there. Just some background on 120 Water. We have been working under the lead and copper rule and doing sampling for almost a decade now. We've run over 7,000 sampling events and we've never had a failed event, meaning everyone we work with is in compliance. So from the standpoint of just taking something off of Rob's plate and freeing up his time and the rest of the team's time to actually be able to get other projects done. And then the second quote in there is going to be just for that inventory, and you'll see and the letters being sent. And the third is just for sampling. So 3 just different price points to consider what might be best for the city. With the inventory, lead and copper sampling, really all 3 quotes, we don't just throw our software platform at folks and say, hey, use it. We arm you with a team that's actually trained on the federal and state requirements to make sure nothing gets missed and to ensure that you have everything you need to report back. On the right-hand side, I included a couple printouts. The first one talks about our platform itself. It's an easy way to manage all of the data that is being required to track and report back, and also make that reporting back to the state easier. You will also have an audit log of all of these things. So you'll have proof that these letters were sent, time-stamped and tracked, proof that these samples were sent when they were taken, and most importantly, that they were analyzed within the appropriate time frame for the regulation. The second one-pager in there talks about our different managed services, so our actual team, and the support that you're getting beyond just our platform and sending out those sample kits. The third is actually what's included in the sampling kits and a bit more on our lead and copper process. We do ensure that anything that would be sent to residents is approved by the city first. We would never just send something out to residents without approval. So we do all of that up front, and then we take it off of the city's plate and manage that. And then the last talks about some other sampling and compliance requirements that we can assist with, like consumer request sampling, which is also part of the regulation, PFAS sampling, which is coming in 2027, school and daycare sampling, also part of this regulation, and we also can assist with post-wildfire response sampling, which isn't as pressing here as in some other states, but just wanted to share some more info on that. Did want to open it up. I know we have a limited amount of time, but just for questions. But if there are none, I can speak a little bit more on the communities we worked with in Illinois and the work that we do.
I have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
The different quotes, what are the difference between the IL-LSI versus the IL-LCR-LSLI?
Yes.
What are the two different, I know obviously there's a price difference, but what are the two main bang for our buck the city is getting one versus the other?
Yes, absolutely. So the LCR is that sampling monitoring, just the lead and copper rule traditionally. The LSLI is the lead service line inventory and those communications. So when you lump them together in that first initial quote, really what that does is it provides, in my opinion, more value from the software, because that cost is based on the size of the system. And then the managed services and of course any consumables like kits or letters that are being sent out will obviously impact the price there, but that software is a fixed cost. So just allowing you to get more bang for your buck with that software and taking more off of the team's plate.
And Rob, what is your recommendation, what is your recommendation on which option best fits
I would
your needs?
recommend the largest option because we're behind in the inventory. We haven't been able to get any of that much done. We haven't had any much luck going house to house or finding information in the archives on what is in the ground. So we're gonna start digging up, finding out if it's lead copper services, which for the last 40-some years, talking to operators that have been through here, they've never come across the lead service line in Braden. So that's one good thing that we've got against. But if it's unknown, EPA considers it that it's a lead service line. So not knowing is still bad for knowing. But by doing this, it's going to take in, like I say, we're behind on the inventory, which should have been done 2 years ago. And they keep setting deadlines and we just keep pushing it back because we just can't get it done. And then now they're starting to put more and more regulations on the lead and copper testing. And now there's more testing. I believe now it's like 7 sample sites now. I think.
Yeah.
So
And how do you get compliance? I know, Rod, you mentioned at staff meetings that you're having a tough time getting residents to get compliance, and how do you do that versus what we're not successful at doing? How do you become successful at that?
Yes, so we have our own data source that we'll go through and in terms of tax parcel data, so double checking some of those archives, those records. Any records that you are able to uncover, our data team will clean those and incorporate those into the inventory. With the full package, or really anything with the LSLI on it, that would also include the option for statistical analysis, which you would need to get approval from IEPA for, but we have done that in Illinois before. So it would require a significant less number of digs to be done. And then also in that customer communication, so sending those letters to those residents, asking them to fill out surveys. We'll create a digital survey that can be posted on the website, and as well as a survey they can mail back to our team, and we'll incorporate that back in. As Rob mentioned, those unknowns, if they're still on the inventory come 2027, it will trigger a significant increase in sampling. So 2 6-month monitoring periods at double the sample sites that you're currently sampling at. And then it will also require you to create a service line replacement plan and either verify or replace a minimum of 10% of those every single year. So really just puts a much larger burden on the city in 2 years.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't at this time, no, I don't.
I just, real quick, you sample at the plant and then at various locations, do people volunteer for these kits? Is that how it is? Is that how it works? You know,
Yeah.
because you want to test it at the far end also, right? At the far
Yeah,
end of
so
the wall.
the lead and copper sampling is actually sampling at residents' homes. So come 2027, there will be a requirement for any unknown lines for the city to at least offer consumer request sampling. If they still have, you know, an unknown out there, they can say, hey, I'd like my water sampled, and you will be required to provide those kits and those results. The regulation right now, Rob submits a tier site to the Illinois EPA. They approve certain tiers, and that's what those locations are where you have to sample. Now, that tier list is a few greater than the actual number of samples that need to be taken. So if someone refuses, anything like that, we can move to the next site on that approved list, but it does need to be approved there. And those tier sites will change again in 2027, regardless of the inventory. So we can help prepare that based on those inventory results.
We had our tier sites all set up, and tier 3 was the largest. When we went ahead and set the sampling sites, I think there was 40 sites, I believe. We sampled 20 out of the 40. And by the time they received our sample site program or whatever, they changed it to tier 5s. So now the houses have to meet the criteria of 1986 and older and all this other stuff. Well, we threw half of those tier sites out, and that's what we're trying to work with now, is trying to get another 20 or 15, I think we got left, of sample sites. Going around looking at homes that we could possibly take a sample site from and meet all the criteria. We start knocking on the doors, people don't like to answer, they start calling cops, and we don't get anywhere.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
So if there are any more questions, we'll put on the agenda with Rob's recommendation, which would be the IL, LCR, and LSLI package for $24,906. We'll put that before the council for a contract with 120 Water.
Perfect. Anything else on discussion number 2? Anything else?
I just wanted to comment that within the next couple of years, EPA is coming down with the amount of sampling that's gonna have to be done. It's almost gonna be almost a full-time job. That and then PFAS is gonna be another dirty word that's gonna come in and come around. And then once they step into the sewer part, where you have to possibly sample for PFAS going out of the sewer pipe, it's gonna be another huge item.
So we have to hire additional manpower for this? I mean,
Possibly, because if it's gonna take up one or two of us,
Yeah.
to take these samples and doing all the other work, we're gonna have to hire other operators.
so it's an unfunded mandate. Have they talked about any kind of grants on something like this?
There is funding out there for PFAS and remediation. As long
But you have to have it first, you have to
sample
Yes.
first. Yeah. So sampling for PFAS, and then there's a couple lawsuits out there to cause the polluters to actually cover the remediation costs, because it is very expensive to remediate PFAS.
Thank you.
And the levels in PFAS are not even, they change, correct? Weren't they here, now they're here, and who knows where they're gonna go? Whenever the IPA decides to.
They are, they're questioning where they're gonna put that action level for PFAS. That's kind of up in the air. There was an AWWA lawsuit on that, so we'll see the final ruling on that soon.
All right, anything else? All right, discussion number 3, dumping fill on lots. Steve, you're gonna start this discussion?
Yeah, and Sean's gonna certainly help me. I just wanna clarify one thing for the council and for the public. We have heard through various means that we are changing ordinances, we are requiring people to do more things, we are being higher standards on our code enforcement. I can tell you in the council and the public that we have not changed one code, one ordinance, other than we added the word recreational vehicle and boat. Is the only change we've ever made to any of the ordinances that we are currently enforcing here. In 2008, the zoning code was adopted here and it hasn't been followed very well. And so now we're getting complaints about the zoning code not being followed, and we are just following the codes that are currently on the books that have been adopted by the council for the past 17 years. So we are not doing anything other than what is on the books today. I just wanted to make sure, so we hear that quite a bit as we're bringing ordinances from up north down here. We're not doing any of that. We are just trying to enforce what is on the books today. With that, it has come to our attention that various developers and contractors have been dumping fill on vacant lots throughout the city. This fill can be a combination of clay, dirt, black dirt, construction material. It could be asphalt grindings, and we know in one pile it's concrete and other material that is certainly not good to be dumped on property. It hasn't been certified. Rob and I had talked about that at a staff meeting. So with this dumping activity, it's not that we're trying to enforce something that is new. It is currently violating local, county, state, and federal, too, with the NPDES stuff, right? That's state. And state ordinances. And if we do not enforce that, somebody can come back and say, City of Braidwood, why aren't you enforcing these ordinances? Such as stormwater management, clay pool ditch issues, we can go on and on and on. So what we're asking, and I just want to make sure that you as a council are okay with us doing the following. We are requiring developers to follow the NPDES permit process where they have to put silk fences up. They cannot no longer dump construction debris. They have to follow Will County stormwater management. They have to get permits. They have to have grading plans. They have to do everything that is outlined in the Will County Stormwater Management Code, our city codes, and with state codes. We are not recreating the wheel. That is the way things have been done since 2008. Our zoning code was adopted, and since the Will County Stormwater Management Plan was adopted. We have 3 sites in town that we are focusing on. I believe I put pictures of the sites in your packets. One site has been pushed down, but again, there is no grading plan, there is no restoration plan. Yeah, it's a low area, but we don't know what it does to the stormwater because we have no grading plans. There is no black dirt to top over it and put seed on it. So currently that person's in violation. We have another one where they're piling up several piles with construction debris that is currently in violation of all the codes that I mentioned. And we have a third one, I believe there's the pictures in there that Sarah took some pictures for me, that has been dumping for a long, long time. It certainly looks like it could be in a floodway. We have a parking lot in one of our developments that was built in a floodplain. Gravel parking lot, no permit, no engineering, and now they're parking vehicles on there. We have a parking lot in front of a hotel that is not legal under our current codes. That's occurring. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get these developers to follow the codes, and we're working with them. So we're not going in there and saying you have 3 days to get this taken care of. What I'm recommending is we send letters out to them. Some letters have been out on gross violations. The ones we're working with is, hey, knock this down, put seed and topsoil on top of it, shoot your grades, we'll take a look at it. If it's good, you're done. If you don't do it, we will do everything our code says to make you do it. Same thing with a couple of construction projects that are going on. There's no silk fence, there's no stormwater management. You'll give them X amount of time to come in compliance, or then we will follow our codes as far as what the enforcement action state. Sean, if you want to mention a little bit some of the things that these dirt piles, these parking lots, these gravel, things that have went on for a period of time, what are the problems they're causing with the federal, state and county and local codes.
Yeah, and just to give everybody a bit of background, IEPA manages a program, the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. And essentially they establish permit requirements, erosion controls. They want to know what the drainage is, what the potential problems are from an environmental standpoint. They establish a permit program that goes to all municipalities. It started with larger municipalities, and when it got smaller, there are different tiers of it. The current ranking is MS4. The city of Braidwood is right at the tier of becoming an MS4 community. So what we're doing is we're basically following the MS4 program, the requirements for the MPS program, because this is what is required for IEPA, and it's also required for Will County Stormwater Management. So what we're doing is we're enforcing essentially the permit requirements. And essentially the permit requirements for that is a site has to identify what soils they have on site. They have to create a grading plan to identify how water is going to drain. They have to provide environmental erosion controls and a restoration plan. They can't simply leave a big pile of dirt with no silt fence around it and just let it go for 10 years. You're supposed to be, the whole intent is to kind of control this. When this program started off, some of the large developers kind of poo-pooed this, and they were fined millions of dollars. So, this is not something that started nationally, and then each individual state manages their environmental protection agency. So all we're doing is we're simply enforcing requirements, and essentially what a developer has to do is they have to provide all this information, and then submit for a permit to IEPA. IEPA then reviews it. It's not onerous, depending on how large the development is. It might be $500 for an entire year, and you can stay open as long as you want. But the problem is you have to have this in place just so that they know they can document that there's a non-point discharge going on. So that typically is done for any site larger than an acre. Some of the issues we've had here is, we have a lot of these sites where people are just going and dumping on properties, but these aren't generally small lots. These are, 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, 5 acre parcels. And unfortunately, without defining what the disturbance area is going to be, we have to look at it holistically as if the entire lot is a potential disturbance area. So at that point, it violates the NPDES, which requires that permit for anything over 1 acre in size. That's just the NPDES. IEPA also has Environmental Protection Act, which does not allow dumping on sites. And essentially, you're looking at anything that's construction debris. You kind of have to characterize what you have for materials. It's one thing to bring in fill. I've got clay, a little bit of aggregate. I've even got broken concrete that does not have rebar, things along those lines. Some of that stuff is fine for a lot to fill in a low area, as long as we have grading plans and everything else. But people just can't go ahead and just do it carte blanche. There's a process that has to be followed. So that's another aspect. You've got the Environmental Protection Act, you've got IEPA with the NPDES permit program, and then you've got the Will County Stormwater Management Agreements, which is something the city is part of Will County. They're a certified community. They're required to basically manage runoff and drainage from sites. The city has that authority. So in order to do that, we need, grading plans. We need, the existing and proposed. Does it encroach on a floodplain? Does it potentially run off and cause drainage to run off onto the neighboring properties? Just things that basically we're just trying to keep an eye on and make sure that we're not causing a nuisance and a hazard to adjacent properties. So really, a lot of these things they're already in the ordinance. It's nothing special. It's just simply trying to say, hey, we understand that you've got a low lot. You want to fill it up. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a process you have to follow with the city to let them know so they can give you a permit, say, hey, it's all good, it's fine. That's all we're trying to do.
And the key to this is we're trying to, number one, keep the city out of issues with the state or the county. Second is we want to make sure neighbors aren't being adversely affected from potential stormwater runoff or other things that could be going on. And we've gotten complaints about the trucks, dumping the dirt next to their house across the street. So it's a combination of all those things. So I want to make sure that the council's aware of what we're doing and give me some of your feedback. Continue to do what we're doing.
I feel like it's been a past practice, but the discussions I've been involved with, I think people are working with us. I feel like it's getting fixed and taken care of. That's just the feeling I get. There's been a lot going on behind closed doors next door, And I feel like for the most part, everybody's working with us now, though. It's been brought to their attention, right? Am I speaking out of line? I feel like,
Yeah, there's some that have done a little bit, they haven't done what they said they're gonna do yet.
okay,
And we're gonna put deadlines on that, because if we don't, it's gonna go on until next year and the year after and the year after that. So one of the things that I would recommend is that, hey, here's a period of time, fix it right, hire an engineer and do your grades. We'll give you 30, 60, 90 days to do it. But if you don't, there's a consequence. And so far, people at Mayor's absolutely right. So far, the people we've talked to said, yeah, we'll do it. But we haven't seen the engineering plans yet. We haven't seen the actual proof in the pudding yet. And so we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, saying, yep, we agree that you're going to do this. But at a certain point, there's going to be, hey, you didn't get this done. You didn't say what you were supposed to do or what was put on paper. Now we have to act. But the mayor's correct. So far, we've had decent compliance. We have not had
I feel like the intent's there. I mean, it's just-
verbally the intent.
that's I feel like it's gonna get fixed. I do. You know,
So these piles that are in the photos, do they have to be like gone through to make sure there's
Well,
nothing?
that one construction pile, I mean, it's not
I see
certified.
concrete, I see blocks
Yeah.
of concrete.
Yeah,
So they have to go through that and make,
that probably should be removed. Because it's, who knows, we're not gonna hire somebody out here to go inspect the concrete, right, to see if that probably should be removed. The rest of that, if that individual provides us with a grading plan and says that these are my grades, I know there's a ditch there, and so what's gonna happen with the ditch and how that's gonna affect all that, if they supply the proper grading plans with Sean, and Sean approves it, and and they put black dirt on top and add grass seed on top of it, then I think they're fine. If they don't, then we have to go into the ordinance with, silt fences, all kinds of things that they have to now do, because they're not complying with what we're trying to make them do, which is working with them. Because technically, I think the ordinance says you gotta get rid of it, you gotta take it off. So we're saying, hey, go ahead and spread it, but before you spread it, you better have an engineering plan, you better have silt fences, and you better have a stormwater management plan to make sure it's okay with Sean. Then we'll let you spread it, put the topsoil, grass seed, and everything's cool. So that's kind of what when the mayor says we're working with somebody, we are not saying remove the dirt piles tomorrow, we're going to do X. We're saying, hey, here's your options, and we'll give you a certain period of time to get these options corrected.
now, Sean, as far as the concrete, you said that they could almost certify, like, hey, this is where it came from, right? They don't have to pay anybody to have it in.
Correct. And what we're trying to do with the current people that we're dealing with, really we're looking for a chain of custody. I mean,
Yeah, that's,
the reality is like, hey, where'd the material come from? Because we don't know. One of the people we've been working with has actually mentioned it's an existing foundation from his own property, has no rebar in it. He broke out the concrete. He's planning on using it as fill for his garage when he puts it back in. He's gonna put the material down, sand, and create a foundation. That's acceptable. That's okay. We're looking for.
But we have to have a plan.
We need anybody, but we're just saying,
We have to have a
we need
plan.
a plan, we need to know where it came from. Document it so we can put it together, and then going forward, we won't have this kind of stuff happening, but it's like, we're not trying to get owners, so people are just trying to say, what do you have, where did it come from? If it's broken pipes, it's got rebar, it's got cages in it, it's got, that's a problem.
anything else for this topic? Discussion number 4.
So we'll just proceed what we're doing. Council's fine with
Yes.
proceeding what we're doing and trying to work with these guys and then giving them milestone dates that if they don't comply, then there's some type of ordinance violations that will be levied upon them.
I don't see a problem with it. I think they're going to take care of what they're supposed to take care of. That's just my gut feeling. Talking to them and knowing who they are, I think they'll take care of it. Okay, now there's a discussion 5. I think I asked Steve about it. I didn't put it on the agenda. Can I add an additional discussion on something like this?
You can discuss whatever.
I'm sorry, what?
You can discuss anything.
Okay, the one thing I want to talk about, and it
There's
come
one
up.
more item.
I'm sorry, is that? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see Josh. Is Josh here?
I'm filling in for Josh.
Okay.
He has a park board meeting tonight.
Okay. Yeah. Number 4 is the internet upgrade.
So I did left-handed, he's right-handed, so. Part of the technology upgrades for City Hall and the Police Department, different 2 facilities. I've asked Josh to research the possibility of switching our internet data service from our current provider, Comcast Business, because he's had some issues with the service. It goes out, it's slow. So he looked at different Surf Internet and T-Mobile, these other things, and he is recommending that we go with a new internet provider, go with Surf. It's faster, it's gonna have more reliability, and it is cheaper. So if you look at the back of page 1, what we're currently paying from Comcast, the internet's $325 a month. Surf's proposal is $145. That's for the PD. And the city hall is $304 a month, and their quote was $145. So the savings in there. Also, according to Josh, I'm an IT guy. According to Josh, and he worked with Gary, who is our IT guy. The speed, however they calculate the speed, is better, and it's higher quality, and it's less in price. So if there's any other questions, I would recommend that we move forward with Surf Internet and enter into, I think it was a 3-year agreement with Surf. We will be coming back with some redundancies in case Surf does go out. We have to have a redundancy, so that we will be coming back with other options for redundant systems.
So I personally don't have a background on Surf. It was done by the previous council, so I'm sure you guys did your research. So to put it, I guess I'm glad there's going to be redundant, because it's putting on a lot of responsibility to have internet for our police department and for our city hall for maybe a newer company. So I don't know a lot about Surf. Are we having any problems? Is everybody in Braidwood happy with Surf Internet? I don't know. Are you guys?
I'm very happy. I'm a citizen and I'm very happy.
Okay, that's important to hear those things, because I don't know a lot about Surf Internet yet. I just know it's new. I'm sure the previous council did their research. I just don't know enough about it yet.
Me personally, I'm saving $165 every month, and my speeds are a lot faster on my Wi-Fi and stuff. But that's just my personal experience.
Yeah, no, that's what we want to hear. We just want to make sure there's no problems with the Surf to feel better about it. And also, too, we're gonna have a backup plan. Karen, you're on Surf?
I don't have Surf, I'm planning on going with it, but the church I belong to, Coal City, switched to Surf, and they have saved thousands of dollars. The speed is up there.
So as far as quality, they're happy with the quality?
They're happy with the quality.
No interruptions or anything like that yet?
I have it, and I love it. It's
Okay.
a lot faster and save money too.
Well, I have it.
Like it's a
and
commercial.
the storm this afternoon, it went out. So I'm thinking it's fiber, it's underground. Why is it going out? I don't know if it was the lightning or what, but all I did was unplug it from the power. And 5 minutes later, it was back up.
I think it was the user.
No, because I used to work for the phone company. So what we do is we go in there and say, try unplugging your system. And they do, and it come right up, and you look like a rock star. But
No, it's
so
gonna make fun of
anyway,
it. I
if
decided
anybody's
not to.
surf goes out, I don't know, there was a lot of lightning around here. We didn't lose power, but the surf went out. And
I
it's just a
can
matter of
certainly ask Josh.
unplugging the motor.
I'm relying on Josh's recommendation. I don't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can certainly ask Josh about the quality, and if he's comfortable with the quality, and why the gears go out, because it's underground. Yeah, I have no idea.
Right,
why
and
the-
it's surface fiber.
Correct.
And I don't know about Comcast. I don't know how they get their
Yeah, it's still old.
It's
still
coax?
coaxial, right.
Yeah, and
So that's why the speeds
it's
are
old
higher.
technology. I mean, geez.
Correct, it's faster, and
Oh, yeah.
it's supposed to
And
be more
the
reliable.
maintenance is much less with
Correct.
fiber, so.
I mean, I trust Josh's judgment on something like this. I just want to hear a little bit of background that everybody's,
Yeah.
they're not having problems with their
Yeah, so
surf
far
internet in town.
we're loving it.
Surf's gonna waive the installation on both sides.
Correct, $1,900 installation, you're correct, Liz.
That was discussion number 4. Anything else to talk about?
So we'll put this on the agenda for August 26th.
This is, I mean, it has to do with surf, but is there a meeting with surf next week too? I mean, are they coming in?
Oh, yeah, we're meeting with Surf to go over various issues that, with respect to not putting back the parkway properly, or,
Yes.
Things like that. So we're meeting with
Asphalt
them.
and, yeah,
Correct,
okay.
yep.
Holes that they just threw
Correct.
coal patch in?
And and Sarah has a list of of those items.
When is that meeting? Do you know? Pardon?
Thursday,
What time?
1 o'clock.
Really? Okay.
I'm double checking, I'm pretty sure it's Thursday at 1.
1 o'clock Thursday here. It'll probably be right here, Dale. Probably right here.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, we done with that?
We have the August 26th agenda for approval.
All right. Steve, who's Josh? Are we done with number
We're
4?
done.
All right, I'm not really prepared, but I kind of want to talk about it now. It's something that I'd like for us to discuss that has come up in our town lately. It's an ordinance from 1996 involving contractors and why we have contractors and what they are. So, long story short, one of our ordinance officer was on patrol out doing his job. He come across a car detailer cleaning a car. His interpretation of our ordinance is that there was a contractor. So he had made contact with him. He did not issue him a citation for not having a contractor's license. He had given him a verbal warning and went on his way. He did not tell him to stop work. It was just a conversation, to my understanding. I think that, we want to maybe revisit our ordinance and talk about it and see if it's up to date, to see if there's something we want to add. Sarah, I asked Sarah to grab me the local ordinances involving contractors. She did do that. I just didn't get a chance to look at it yet. It's just something I kind of wanted to talk about here. When you go through the contractor's license, I mean, we're all aware of why we have a contractor's license and what the intent is. But when you go through it, it talks about your drywall contractors, your fencing contractors, your flooring contractors. It also talks about cleaning contractors. So then when you kind of look up what a definition of a cleaning contractor, it could be residential, commercial, and specialized cleaning. I'm sure when this ordinance was passed in 1996, they didn't have mobile detailing back then. We as a board, we have to figure out if we want to take certain things out of this ordinance and update it and just revisit it, rewrite it. I just want to know where you guys stand as a board. I mean, to me, I understand why our ordinance, because he's familiar with the ordinance, so why our ordinance officer would have stopped and made a contact with a detailing company. He's advertising, he's a business. I think initially he thought that he needed a business license, but unless you are in Braidwood, you don't need a business license, but the contractors, if you come outside you're contracted to do some work outside outside of Braidwood. I'm just looking for some direction, maybe some legal advice. I mean, what do you think, Brian?
So before you go to Brian, so the way I interpret the ordinance, and I think the way that our code enforcement person interprets the ordinance, is that if there's any contract between individual A and individual B, so it doesn't have to be drywall, it doesn't have to be foundation, it's a service, right? So that's how he interpreted it. There is a service being provided in Braidwood from an outside entity. It's a contractual service. If it's Mary Maids, if it's detail of a car, if it's seal coating of a driveway, it's a contract between two individuals. So if we're going to, and I kind of interpret it the same way. I don't know how many people enforce it, whatever. I think that if you want to specifically say these type of businesses are not under the preview of the contractor's license, I think we should probably spell that out. I'll defer to Brian on that.
I mean, generally, I would say all of our ordinances, or most of our ordinances, can use a little update. A great deal of them are outdated. But the fact of the matter is, issues will come up. It doesn't matter how new every single one of your ordinances are. There are just weird things that happen, and you don't know if things apply, so you use your discretion. And
Yes.
it sounds like our code enforcement officer used his discretion by having a conversation. So I think that sounds like it was handled appropriately, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with comparing with, nearby ordinances and seeing what we like.
Mm-hmm.
If contractor isn't defined in there, it's probably helpful to define it.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, like Steve is saying, carve out things so that it's explicit that they're not contractors.
No, I agree, it needs, every single ordinance needs to be looked at, but
The intent is to protect our citizens. That's the intent.
Yeah, so
You
you
know.
don't have door knockers or something like that.
Yeah, or somebody come in, hey, I'll fix your plumbing or something, and they just do some damage and they have no training or licensing or insurance, and we don't know who they are, like a fly-by-night company.
Exactly.
So I understand what the purpose is, you know, and again, I mean, things happen, we deal with it, and, you know, again, we need to go through ordinances, but sometimes we just deal with them as they come up.
Right.
You know, as a policeman, I'm on patrol, I don't know if I would even have thought anything of it, you know, but I know that was his interpretation. I had a conversation with Ricky, and he goes, hey, if you look it up, I said, okay, I agree with you, I understand why you would interpret that way. So this is why it's not my decision, it's the board. And I wanted to just to kind of get a feel on how you guys feel. You know, it kind of gives a brief description of a contractor, but we'll do a little bit of research and maybe we can clean it up and maybe we can put some common sense things in there maybe to exempt.
That's how I would do it, because everybody's gonna interpret the definition of a contractor. I mean, it's gonna be such a broad definition, no matter
Yeah.
how you're gonna do it. What I would do is I would carve out some things that you as a council don't think a individual needs to have a contractor's license to perform a service.
And maybe it's just the value, you know, if the service is.
You know, and that's exactly it, yeah.
Oh, money.
Bucks or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worth requiring all this stuff.
You know, and again, this is our time to talk, but I do want to wrap this up soon. I mean, have somebody come over and you power wash your house, you know, because you get the mold and mildew. So do they need a contractor's license to come over and just power wash your house?
I would say so.
You know, by the
Under
letter.
this ordinance, you would.
That's what I'm saying. By the interpretation, by the way ordinance is written, yes. You know, and again, until something comes up, you know, then now we'll address it and take a look at it and see where the council feels. You know,
When you say value, you're talking about dollar amount.
Yeah.
Like if you're
If the value is-
rehabbing a room or something and it's gonna cost $10,000.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's
I think any type of trade needs to have a contractor's license.
Yeah.
It's any inspections.
Because it requires inspections. Like to power washing, there's no inspection, right? To detail a car, there's no inspection.
Sell magazines.
Basically, you don't want to be cost prohibitive, you know, maybe if it's clear that a detailer needs to come and register and provide this insurance and jump through all these hoops, maybe the person doesn't come down because it's not worth it to them. You know, and they're only getting
Well, that's Braidwood. I
whatever,
don't go into
$100
Braidwood.
or something. So maybe those are instances where we can make exceptions. I'm completely coming up with out of thin air though, there might be other municipalities that
yeah. We'll just talk about it. I just wanted to kind of get this out in the open.
try to true regulations.
You know, again, there was nothing. You know, he didn't issue a citation or anything like that. It was just a. You
Well,
know,
Coal
So
City,
did he finish? Did he walk off the job? Did he finish the work? Do you know? The contractor?
to my understanding, he did. Yeah.
so our code enforcement person said that you have to get a contractor's license. So I'm not sure if the work continued or not,
Oh, okay.
but did not issue a citation, but did say that you have to have a contractor's license based on the interpretation of the code. And so he may have went back and finished it, I don't know, but that's how it was left, was this individual needs a contractor license to continue to perform that service here in Braidwood. So what we need to find out is going forward, are we gonna require that, or are we going to go ahead and carve out, as Brian said, carve out some pretty easy things
Mhm.
to say, this is not required.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I believe Mr. Ricky,
Cornelli.
interpret the code properly.
Oh no, I do
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I do too. Doesn't mean we agree with it. It just comes down to the city
Exactly
ordinance,
right.
and this is the interpretation. It was written in 1996. When you look at it, it's special cleaning contractors. But again, from a common sense standpoint, I mean, I don't know how I know how I feel about it. I do. I just don't know how the board feels about it. So it's something we'll address. We'll see. We'll take a look at. We'll update something, and we'll figure something out.
So the council, he wants to go back and carve out some stuff, Mayor, go back and carve
Yeah,
out
no,
some
I
common
do.
sense.
I think it's necessary. I think it's.
it needs to be addressed, it needs to be looked at, just like everyone.
Since you opened it up for the internet questions, so I'm gonna assume that we can also interrupt.
Under petitions from the public.
Yeah, we'll have public comment if you want to wait till public comment. Just gonna be about 2 minutes.
Rest.
Okay. So, yes, I did ask. I asked. That was discussion number 5. Anything more on discussion number 5?
I don't have anything unless the council, this is also, under committee from the whole, if the council wants to bring up an item that you'd like to place on the agenda, is now the time to bring up, so we would take that and do the research and say, okay, we'll get it on the next council meeting. I know Liz and I talked about the purchasing policy. Liz is working on that now. We have a probably pretty good draft.
Yeah.
We just gotta fine tune it, so that will be at the committee of the whole in September.
Okay. So we're done with discussion items. Public comment. Okay, we're gonna move on to public comment. Just state your full name, spell your last name. Section 234 Braywood Code of Ordinances imposes 3-minute limit for each person during public comment. Sir, if you want to come up here now, state your name.
You talked to me earlier. My name is Bobby Earling, 560 North School Street. Since you didn't get back to me as far as the ordinance that you said you would,
I left it because I had a prior engagement.
so we'll get past that. Now, you want an ordinance to live in hell out of everybody in this town? Go ahead. Timmy can't come over and mow the lawn anymore because he's now a contractor working for you. So let's take all of the car washing, all the fundraising, and selling cookies out of this, because now we gotta make sure they're a contractor. Second of all, you praise your code enforcer. Maybe you should go outside his front door and look at, right across the street, a trailer that's abandoned, no title on it, no plates on it, just filled with junk, but he doesn't do that. So now I'm here to ask you, where are we gonna sit there and end with this? Are you bringing the stuff from Naperville, Orland? Is that what you want to turn Braidwood into? Are you wanting to have every single house? I mean, I don't know if you noticed, not everybody in this area has the funds that you want this $400,000 home being built on the school street. You want to develop, that's fine. Are you outplacing us? Are you trying to push everybody out that is working class out of this town? Is that your goal? You don't want to answer.
I'm sorry, I apologize. This is public comment. This is your opportunity.
No, I would
Just to
like to
speak.
hear.
Again, sir, this is public comment.
You issued me a ticket, 4 of them.
I did?
This city and the council, I already talked to you about what the cops did, because I had a discord with them or disagreement with them, like trying to sit there and have a conversation with you earlier. You sit there and say, you're deciding for me that my hobby may be a semi. But yet I go around this town and not work. I get 75 pictures I can show you of abandoned stuff. I got RVs that haven't moved forever. Boats that are sitting in their yard. What's any different from somebody having an RV sitting in their yard forever? Boats never move. You said after 3 weeks it's abandoned. Now, I go around throughout this small town, and those boats or RVs haven't moved in 3 weeks. They're abandoned according to you, right? That's what you told me about my truck.
Sir, again, this is public comment.
I'm trying to get a response out of you. I want to know your stance. I would like the entire town to know your stance. Because there's other 2 semis that are out in their driveways, not throwing any harm. They look a hell of a lot better than some of these RVs that are parked in people's yard. 4 of them in their backyard. You know the neighbor right across from me that nobody wants to deal with. Because an associate of Braidwood's, they're having relations with that person. But that never is ticketed. It took 5 seconds to walk across the street and ticket them, just like you ticketed me. Second of all, one of the vehicles I just got from an auction. It's not even titled in my name. It's been sitting there waiting to get the title in the mail that you ticketed me for. So technically, you ticketed a car that belongs to Missouri. Neither one of the trailers are mine. None of them are plated to me. So the only vehicle that you actually ticketed me for today was my semi. That's clean, operable. I can take it to DOT inspection, it'll pass tomorrow. I can't say that about some of the RVs that you have in this town, sitting in there, rotting in their backyards. They have so much trash on it. Don't tell me that they've ever been moved. There's moss growing on it. You got houses for tarps. But instead you want to ordinance everybody out of this town instead of helping your neighbors. Maybe you should think about that when you wanna update all the ordinances and you wanna sit there and run everybody out of the town.
All right, your 3 minutes is up, sir. Okay. Anyone else for public comment?
You won't respond to it.
Anybody else for public comment? All right, thank you for your time. And the public comment. Executive session, any reason to go into executive session? Okay, the next committee of the whole will be Tuesday, September 9th, at 6:30. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Dixon,
Yes.
Mayor Lyons,
Yes.
motion carries.
Do a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Hit the button, please. Yep, it's fine, I'm gonna reset it.
Before you go down, it's on your phone. We're down, we're zipped up. No. No, we'll take their comments and stuff, but to me, the whole is where